Hello. So, on reviewing the copyright and fair use module 9 lesson, a part of my reflection is discussing if anything surprised me from learning about the copyright laws and the fair use website. I would say that some things, surprisingly did come like as a surprise to me, mainly because I just thought that it would be copyright issues with certain things. An example would be with plays. Example, like a Shakespeare play, because it's at public ownership with there's certain public ownership. You don't necessarily have to print out because it's like public domain material, which I guess I don't really understand. So that was something that was different to me. I guess it's just that scenario where they were able to print off a play from like a copyrighted an anthology, which is fair use because the play is a public domain and not subject to copyright protection. So that surprised me, which something that also surprised me is how big of a deal things can be made with certain things, and then how some things aren't a big deal, like showing a video in class of like a Times report or like a news report can be not considered like as a big deal as if like a kid was to post a poem or use a poem and not get the copyright protection on it. They're not very protected. I also find it interesting that schools aren't very protected from copyright laws. Like a school can purchase curriculum or like pictures and stuff like that, but it cannot be distributed through the whole school. If you purchase one purchase, it's just one purchase. You can't continue to print off multiple copies. Something that I experienced when I was younger, that I just happened to kind of remember, was a professor copies a lot of expert documents, and in this case, our professor had copied a lot of experts documents, including like textbooks and journals from like multiple different sources. And he distributed the material to our class as like a packet. And I would say like after you watch reading all the fair use stuff, it seems like you would need to obtain permission before reproducing copyrighted material. So like kind of going back to printing out multiple things, multiple documents, before he reproduced all the copyrighted material into an academic packet, he needed to get permission to do so because it is his obligation to get clearance when he uses materials in class. But I don't really know what went on behind closed doors. Sorry, my dog's freaking out at the door. I have 4, so that's probably why it's loud. But anyway, so who knows? I don't know if he got clearance, but he kind of just would print things off and off and off, so I feel like he didn't. But yeah, and then I scored like a 70 on the test. There were a few surprising questions just about how serious certain things were. I didn't realize certain things were a big deal. So, but I definitely think that I need to be more attentive to the fair use and to the copyright laws because I am going to work in a classroom at some point and I don't want to break any of those rules. Thank you.